Hello YouTube, this is Bro Gamer and I welcome you back to the channel. For this video, I thought I'd show you my physical Yakuza Game Collection, which is one of my most favorite game series of all time. You would have also noticed that my shelving behind me is a little bit different. I've actually moved that this shelf all the way from this. I'll just show you on this quick video that I would have inserted right about here, as well as putting my backlog this side, whereas all the games I've completed now are on that shelf, just so that it's easier for me to access and easier for me to then track and even just take off the correct game that I feel like playing from this shelving here. So yeah, before we get into the video, let me just show a couple of pickups. So other than thermal pads and a thermal paste that I've gotten for my backwards compatible PlayStation 3. So obviously when I bought it from the cash converters, it was most likely sitting in storage. So because every time I switch it on, it asks for the date and as well as the time, which is the result of a dead CR32 battery as well. So I also bought the battery, which looks like this, which I'll also install sometime soon. That might be another video on its own. And then I'll just replace the thermal padding and the thermal paste in the unit. It's giving it a fresh new lease on life. And now a couple of pickups. So I won this on auction just the other day. Blade Dancer, which is some sort of JRPG, but I've actually noticed it was released exclusively for PAL. Yet to try this one out. I picked up just yesterday actually. I picked up an Xbox One copy of NFS Heat. I have originally the PlayStation 4 version. However, I thought but that one is digital, so I thought let me just pick up a physical copy, and I got this for $100, which was dirt cheap. And then for a relatively pricey game that I've picked up recently, Xenosaga 2, Episode 2. So this came up to about 900 rands worth. So a little bit pricey for me, but it is one of the series I actually aim to complete and collect. You'll even see my PlayStation 2 game collection up here. It's all JRPGs. So I'm a big RPG fan, and this was just one of the few that I needed. I'm almost close to completing all the ones I want for PlayStation 2. So yeah, it's just a couple of more. A lot of the pricey ones, if I'm unable to get them or out of range, I'll just emulate those ones. Alright, so Yakuza, or Ryu ga Gotoku, which is known in Japan like a dragon. That's the name that it's called that side now, with Like a Dragon for the newer releases in the series. So obviously what makes these games pretty awesome is their combat as well as their deep storytelling and the ability to keep you on a knife's edge, and very unexpected plot twists, but also that very sort of kind of Japanese craziness that kind of fascinates us here in the West, which make it a very beloved and fun series of games to play. So we'll start off with my PlayStation 2 versions. The original Yakuza, this was the one that started it all. Sorry for the glare. As well as the second. So obviously, like, this version is like much more expensive. I think it's because it has a low print run for the West. Either way, these were the two games that started the series. Not too much of a big kind of fan base here back in the day for the PlayStation 2 versions. However, it was the PS3 as well as the Kiwami versions, which is the extreme versions for PlayStation 4, that popularized the games in the series. So speaking of the ones for PlayStation 3, Yakuza 3, and what came with this version was the audio CD. I really didn't expect that. I just picked it up on the cheap from the local game shop. And then Yakuza 4, very cool game. Has a new protagonist, but even his story was very intriguing to watch and play through. And then obviously, like I've highlighted in the previous video, the only way to get Yakuza 5 wasn't released physically here in the West for PlayStation 3. You'd have to get it on the Yakuza Remastered Collection, which I'll show off shortly. The other PlayStation 3 release that I have, Yakuza Dead Souls. Finished this not too long ago. Very, very addictive and fun gameplay. This is a must play. I don't think it's really worth the price tag of what, $100 I think it is, but if you are able to play or find it on the cheap or emulate this, I highly recommend it. And that comes from somebody like me that's not a big horror fan, or maybe like new to the horror genre. I'm slowly delving through that path. Okay, starting with the PlayStation 4, Yakuza 0. So obviously this revolutionized the Yakuza game series and popularized it so much to the Western fandom, actually. And this is the game that actually took off like captured a bottle of lightning. So if you ask most Yakuza fans, they'll say that this game is their favorite. It's certainly one of mine. It's a must-play. It was originally a PlayStation 4 exclusive until it got ported to other systems. There is a director's cut, though I have my reservations about that. I'll probably highlight that a little bit later in this video. And then obviously the Yakuza 1. It's Yakuza Kiwami. It's what it's called for PlayStation 4. So essentially the kind of remaster of this game into the PlayStation 4 release. So this was the first Yakuza game I played, and it actually sucked me in from the very first minute. I couldn't put the controller down. And what came with the first one, the sequel, Kiwami 2, I got the Steel Book. I have the PlayStation Hits release as well, but I'll probably sell that version. So this is obviously the remaster for the PlayStation 2 version, which is Yakuza 2. Also, highly recommended game. Also one that is a must play if you going to pick up the games physically. So I've got the Steel Books, which I was able to find affordably and by a stroke of luck. Now, next in the series, the Yakuza Remastered Collection. Like I said before, it's basically Yakuza 3 and Yakuza 4. I'll show you. In the CDs, my apologies. There. As well as Yakuza 5 on a physical disc. So if you'd like to pick up all the Yakuza games physically, I highly advocate for this set right here. I do think maybe Sega should try and do another re-release of these games, because the PlayStation 4 version is becoming a little bit more rarer, sought after, as people are picking it up and just adding it to the game collection. Is not really selling it. So I don't think it has that much of a limited print run, but copies are a little bit slim from what I've seen. Next up, Yakuza 6. I've got the PlayStation Hits, and all because I wasn't patient enough to get the limited edition with the glass and art book and whatnot. At that time, I was just very eager to carry on the series, so I picked up the PlayStation Hits version for a very cheap online. So obviously this was Kiryu's one of his last major roles as a protagonist was with this game. Still a very recommended and awesome game to play. And then another game which popularized the Yakuza series for, especially particularly here in the West, was the 7th one, Yakuza 7, or Yakuza Like a Dragon, featuring a different protagonist to the franchise. So obviously this also changed the combat from action beat 'em up RPG to more like turn-based RPG gameplay. It's a little bit well, it's not really my cup of tea. I think it's a little bit awkward with the kind of Tekken way of fighting, but it's in a turn-based fashion. Whereas the other ones, the other Yakuza games, are a lot more action-packed and was very, very fluid. You're able to complete certain battles very stylishly and have a lot of fun, and then progress the story afterwards. Whereas the pacing with this did suffer a little bit, in my opinion, but it is nonetheless a very awesome game. And last but not least, so I don't have any of the very new Yakuza releases, but the latest one I have here is Like a Dragon Ishin, which is a little bit of a kind of sorry, a side story or spin-off of the Yakuza characters set in a different universe. Basically, it's got the Old West, well, back in the day for the samurai era, 1800s or early 1900s, depending on how you look at it, with the swords and then the gunplay, the revolvers and whatnot. Haven't played this. Still have the original PlayStation wrapping on the cover, so I'll delve into this one soon. Okay, so maybe I've convinced you to play the Yakuza games, or maybe a friend or another content creator has encouraged you to start off playing these games. Like I said, they're very rich in story as well as action-orientated gameplay. Classic Sega. So if I was to recommend picking up these games, I'll highly advocate for the PlayStation 4 versions, which are more accessible, and just in terms of content and quality of life and even just gameplay, these are your the best way to experience the series. So Yakuza 0, I know there's a director's cut, but in every way it's actually much more inferior than this version. They've obviously retconned a little bit of the story, and even though they've said they've introduced more cutscenes, it's not some of that core storytelling which makes this one so epic. So I'd rather recommend you picking up this version. It is also much cheaper than the director's cut, which is basically obviously the more expensive version with cut content. So like a Porsche that has its parts removed, but maybe the stitching done better, and then the price jacked up. That's that's another rant on its own. And then also obviously I'd recommend the Yakuza Kiwami games. These were my starting points, so the first and the second. Very awesome games, and that actually sold me on the series as a whole. And then obviously if you want to pick up the games physically, the 3rd to 5th games physically, the Yakuza Remastered Collection, PlayStation 4, and then obviously Yakuza 6, The Song of Life. I'm still beating myself up that I wasn't able to pick up the limited edition copy with the glass and art book. But if you have also started with the Yakuza Like a Dragon, with the Ichiban Karuga's story, it's still very epic. But like I said, just for me, the pacing was a little bit awkward because this is turn-based combat, whereas the other versions here are more action beat-em-up style. And I think just in terms of the amount of fun I had a lot of fun more with Kiryu's story on these games versus the one with Ichiban in this one. But it's still nonetheless a very awesome game to pick up and play. Yeah, okay, so like I said before, you're better off with this Yakuza 0, and as well as the, if you've seen the Yakuza 3 Dark Ties, and that is also a big insult to a lot of the players. Basically, also with retconning a lot of the kind of story, changing up some of the characters which have actually bastardized the kind of nuances and their storytelling, as well as just the whole character that what makes them interesting and whatnot and beloved in the series. Rather you pick up the Yakuza 3 game, whether it's on the PlayStation 3 or the PS4. Don't opt for the Dark Ties. but that's my opinion. If you've picked it up and you've enjoyed it, more power to you. I just don't think they're kind of worth it, in my opinion. Okay, so that's my little rant on the Yakuza games, as well as my physical Yakuza game collection. So, are you going to pick up the Yakuza games? What do you think of them? Have you enjoyed them? And are you looking forward to picking up some of the new ones, like what's his name? Majima's Story, the pirate. Well, that's one I have to pick up a little bit later. Well, I thank you for watching. If you've subscribed, liked the video, I appreciate it. Yeah, I wish you all the best. Keep playing your games, and we'll talk again very soon. Cheers.